Lesson 29, negative exponents and zero exponents. Now remember the negative exponent, what it gives you is the reciprocal of the number. So like we have here, n to the negative 1 equals 1 over n to the positive 1. So that negative that we have there is like a little token that we're using to give the reciprocal. So this negative gives the reciprocal of the number, and the 1 now is positive. Now, if we have negative x, like in this case, we're going to do exactly the same. We're first going to use the token of that negative, and that's going to pass it to the reciprocal. That's why it's on the bottom. And then x is going to be positive because the negative exponent we already used. So let's look at these couple of examples. The first one is 3 to the negative 2. So again, I'm going to use the token, the negative, and I'm going to write the reciprocal of 3, which is 1/3. And now the 2 is positive, but on the bottom. And 1/3 to the second power is 1/9. And that's it. Notice that it does not affect at all the sign of the number. Now we have another one, and this one is a negative 3, but it's inside of the parentheses. So this negative 2 is affecting the whole negative 3. So I'm going to write the reciprocal, which is the number on the bottom, in parentheses, and then the positive 2. And then again, if I square negative 3 in parentheses, it's going to be 1 over 9 positive. And the last one is 1 with the 3 on the bottom to the negative 2. Again, the negative is going to give me the reciprocal, and the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3. And again to the second power because the negative is gone. We used it already. And 3 to the second power is 9. And that's it. Now in the next example, we have a couple of letters and then we have to multiply. Now remember the rule for multiplication is if I have a base with an exponent times the same base with another exponent, what we do is we keep the base, but we add the exponents. All right, so with that rule in mind, we're going to simplify, and we're going to do 7 minus 10. Remember, that's adding because we're not changing signs. And then we have 8 minus 2. And so the answer is going to be x to the negative 3 and m to the positive 6. Using the same rules we've learned before for adding sign numbers. And the next one, we have x to the negative 3. Now remember, this one that doesn't have anything has a 1. So plus 1. Then for the y, we have negative 7 plus 4. Again, we're using this rule. And then for z, we again have a 1 there. So 1 plus 3. And when we simplify that, we get x to the negative 2, y to the negative 3, and z to the 4th power. That's our answer. Now the zero exponent is really easy. Any number to the 0 power equals 1. That's this rule here. We have to remember that. Now that's very different than if I have an x. An x is the same as x to the 1 power. So those are very, very different things. But an x to the 0, or another way of saying that is any number to the 0 power is going to give me a 1. So 3 to the 0 power is 1. But then we have negative 3 to the 0 power, and in that case, the 3 is the only thing that is to 0, and then is multiplied times a negative 1. And so in this case, the answer is going to be negative 1, because there is no parentheses. Now in this case, the last one, with a parenthesis, we're saying that the whole negative 3 is to the 0 power, and in that case, the answer is 1. So be very careful if a negative number with an exponent, 0, or any other exponent has a parenthesis or not, because that will give you a very different answer. All right, let's do these examples. X to the second power minus 2 and m7 plus 5 using the rule that we saw before. X2 minus 2 is going to be x to the 0 power, and m is going to be to the 12th power. Now remember, x to the 0 power, or any letter to the 0 power, any number to the 0 power is going to be 1. So that actually just cancels because 1 times m is going to be m to the 12th power. So our answer is m to the 12th power. That's it. because times 1 is going to be itself. Same thing here. We see the x to the 0 power. We don't need that. That's a 1. And 1 times anything is that same thing. So that's not going to affect at all. Now, if we were adding, that's a different thing. But this is multiplying. And then we have 3 plus 1, which is 4. And that's our answer. X to the negative 2, m4. One more type of exercise, which is distributive property. Again, the first thing I want to see is that if we have any letters to the 0 power, those are going to become 1, so they cancel. And I also check here inside of the parentheses. Now, there's nothing else, so I'm going to start by multiplying to do distributive property. So 5 times 1 is 5, and then x3 times x negative 3 is going to be 3 minus 3, which is 0. And m negative 2 times m8 is negative 2 plus 8, which is 6. Then we do the next one, the same thing times the second term in the parentheses, which is going to be negative 7. The y4 is just going to stay y4 because we don't have a y in outside of the parentheses. Remember that the y to the 0 is gone. Then the m is going to be 2 minus 2, it's again 0. And then we have the x3. So again, this is a 1, and 1 times 5 is 5. So 5m6. And this is a 1 times 7 is 7. y4, x3. And that's our answer. All right, let's do the next one. So again, remember that the first thing we look for is letters with exponent 0, which in this case, this was the only one we have. So I cancel because that's a 1, and 1 times negative 3 is going to be negative 3, no change. Then we're going to do the distributive property by multiplying the first term times the outside. And again, that's going to be m2 times m negative 2 is 0, because 2 minus 2 is 0. And then y5 minus 5 is 0 again. And then we're going to do the other one. And that's going to be negative 3. And then m2 times m8 is going to be m10, because 2 plus 8 is 10. And then the y5. Now, you might say that this is our answer, but no. Be careful, because that's a very common mistake. When I cancel these, that's 1 times another 1, it's going to be 1. And 1, we have to write it because we are adding with these 3m10 y5. And so we do have to put that 1 there. It's very important. And that's it. Very simple lesson. You just have to be very careful. Remember those negative exponents and those exponents 0. All right, go do some math, have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.